And hello, everybody. I'm Dan Lutz, and welcome to the Frontlines and the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. Well, today we're going to cover a topic we've covered once before. It's the hammer. The hammer back in the news. What is the hammer? The hammer is what the cabal intended to bang us over the head with. It is their system of continued and extended blackmail, not bribery. I guess it could include bribery in it, but blackmail. To blackmail not just the politicians, but all of us. This is ultimately, the extension of what they're already doing. They've held power all this time by way of using this process of blackmail. They get people into a compromising position, and then they stop them from doing what they want and have them work on whatever they have in mind. Sorry, there's a couple of things going on here at the same time. So the hammer was created as a system to look at all emails, phone calls, recordings of all phone calls, text messages, and your social media, to basically capture it all. This program was put together between the CIA and NSA under Clapper and Brennan, and working with Obama. So when this was first broke, this first story broke about this. This is when the Russian collusion started. It was the reason that they needed to move forward with the Russian collusion story, and they talked about the Hillary emails and the Russians broke in. Right? This was what the conversation was all about, and the reason for it. They needed to distract. When you have a general coming on to a program and discussing the hammer and how it's been used, and the people and the actual contractor that put together the hammer configured all the computer systems to gather all this data between the NSA and CIA and give them this back door to this information. They needed to stop it right away. That's when this all started. So what are they doing as a cover-up? They're trying to cover up this, the hammer. The hammer also, I theorize, symbolizes them auctioning off your data, like a gavel, hammer. That this is something that they were doing, was using this information not only to blackmail people to do what they wanted, but also to sell that data to others so that they could blackmail you. So a lot of people think about, they're gathering all the data, but what's that have to do with me, right? I'm not doing anything wrong. Who cares if they listen to my phone calls? A lot of people have that attitude. But when we started first talking about this a year and a half ago, people may have a different impression than what came about back then, because look at what they're doing now. Censoring, telling you to close your business. Oh, you can't open your business. Why? Because of what you said on Facebook. Why? Because what you said in an email to their, what you said on a phone call, because what you said in a text message. They don't care about your privacy. They don't care that you're not saying anything of importance to them. You may be saying things that are important to you, things that you don't want your business partner to hear, or your mate, your wife or your husband. Maybe you're just talking bad. I mean, they use this as blackmail material. So they started this program and they were busted. This was coming out. This information made it out into the public sphere. It came out on Dave Janda's website and his YouTube broadcast. And we followed it. We talked about it while it was happening. And this is, and the importance of how much it was a part of this. If you remember some of the number 17 individual that does the posts, 17 letter of the alphabet, when he did these posts, they were showing some elevators in Trump Towers in Chicago made up like a candy store, like a gingerbread house, right? And for Christmas, right? All these decorations. And then there was a picture of Santa Claus, right, holding a hammer. So there were so many clues and what they call Easter eggs in the Christmas elevator. So that all these things to dig into and find out what they were talking about. And that hammer was really to reveal that the hammer program exists. So this is not just treason against Trump. This is treason against the population, everybody. So why are we talking about it now? Well, I listened to Dave Janda, and he talked about it just yesterday. And what they discussed is there's a group of whistleblowers blowing the whistle on the hammer. And they actually put out the information or stats on the information to tell you exactly what did they actually get. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to go over that. We're going to take a look and see what information they were gathering and how it all flows together. So before we do that, let's do some of our housekeeping. So first of all, this program is brought to you by your donations to me to keep this rolling and keep me going on this. And I appreciate every one of you. Small donations, large donations, medium-sized donations, all donations are a godsend, and I appreciate it deeply. Yesterday we had 2 donations that came in, one for $15 and one for $50. So this is good. So we had like 4 days no donations, and I'm going. I have faith. I'm just joking around. If I had figured out if I get about $50 a day on average coming in, this basically covers everything that the basics here. So that's and so it's good. So 65 coming in one day. That's wonderful. All right, so I appreciate it. Please, my PayPal link is down below in the description. You can also contact me if you'd like to use Western Union or MoneyGram, and I'll get you the details for that. My email is down below, as well as my Telegram ID. Also, my Telegram groups are there for the chat group for wwg1wga.love chat group for Telegram, and also for the website, where you can join and become a participating member, and you can contribute monthly. $8.88 a month is really a good way to help support things. If I had, so right now we have anywhere between 500 to 800 people that watch every day, and if I had 500 people sending me $8.88 a month, that would cover everything, and I'd be able to hire people and do things. We can work our way towards that. I'm looking at some other ways of offering things to purchase, like off of the websites for like My Patriot Supply. I just looked at that website because a lot of other YouTubers are doing that, and it's a pretty simple. There's just a 10% commission as an affiliate. So any of these things that I can do to help supplement the program, I'm looking into right now. Okay, what else? Next announcement. Tomorrow, we're going to actually do a simulcast with WITS Ministries. So we had Sir Timothy Thorpe on just about 4 or 5 days ago, talking about Tesla's plan to save the world. Right. So he said, well, he can return the favor and have me come on his broadcast that he does with his ministry. And they have about a 15-minute segment for guests to come on and talk. And so he offered me to come on and speak. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. It will be 8:30 Pacific Standard Time is when that starts. But I'm going to start my broadcast here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That way, I'll get the housekeeping out of the way, talk about some of the other interesting things along the same subject line, and then we'll join in with Sir Timothy, and then I will discuss, my concept was that this is actually Tesla's plan. Now, there's a lot of interesting things showing how John Trump, Donald Trump's uncle, was the one in charge of dealing with all of Tesla's technologies after his death. That was the federal government put him in charge of this information to go through all of his papers and decide what had how to use it, what was valid, what wasn't, and so on. So, but I imagined that there was quite a different relationship than just that after his death relationships, that there was actually a relationship with John Trump and Tesla before Tesla passed, and that Tesla was able to kind of peer into the future and see how can he defeat these evil doers, the ones that defeated his free energy for the world, right? This is a smart guy, right? And he had already, developed this system that allowed him to do teleportation. But what was theorized that it was also that he was able to go through time as well. Now, maybe it was just visually see, or maybe it was actually just traveling, which I believe it was traveling as well. So if you had that technology, wouldn't you try and defeat these people, these evil doers? So that's why I think that it was a plan that generated with Tesla. And maybe it's become the white hat plan of today. Maybe the white hat plan was also taken over by, the cabal, the deep state. And they turned it into, say, the global currency reset plan, which was not a good plan, right? It sounded good. It touched that greed button, right? Greed, greed, greed. Everyone was, grabbing at the dinar or the zim, right? And, I started going down that road, and I was on the historical bonds side of things, not really the zim or dinar, but lining up the Chinese mountain warehouses to bring those assets in as to be redeemed in this reset. So, so much I learned from that process, and also another thing that happened, someone contacted me who was working with the Swiss Indo people. They sent me an email and talked about, some things, and I tried to explain about how, I'm happy to help in all ways, and Bob Haksuki, who was M1 / Mr. Sino AS. He gave me such great information and started me down the path of looking in where to look really, and how and what the foundations were. It actually gave me showed me lots of it. One of the things, this outline of like where he stood as M1, and also where Marcos stood as M5, meaning that the M position was more than just one. We get represented that it's that there is only one because of the breeding program of the royals from around the world, where it was called the Plan of the Experts, where they bred over hundreds of years the royal families from around the planet to be represented by one. They were all related then, right? 128 royal families. They all had children. Those children married together, and that became 64 families. And then those 64 families had children, and then they married together into 32 families. And those 32 families had children, and then they married together, and they had 16, then 8, then 4, then 2, and then 1. And the one was President Sukarno of Indonesia. That was the first M1. Right? But that position meant what? The ability to bring currency into the system by their signature. That's that position. They were not the owners of all assets. In fact, all the assets were in the trust, right? But they held a position, right? So this was that position. Now, he had other positions since he was also Monarch 1, right? Which is the point of the royal breeding program. So anyway, I gave him some videos about like my currently working with Life Force and Kim, and basically showed what that looks like. And so they say there is other levels to deal with to bring these assets back to the people. So anyway, so around about our way of explaining, how I got here. But we are on the path to bring this type of transition in the world. So because we don't want the things like the hammer, see how I segue back, pounding on us because of our free nature, right, of just speaking openly, like we always respected mail, right, because the mail was private, individual to individual. No one was allowed to open a letter and see what was inside, right, because that was private. It was a federal offense. So why is that any different on email? Who decided that? How can anyone just peer in at any time because there's a record? No, this is wrong. This kind of power corrupts. That's what we're seeing, and that's what we will see. So let me go ahead and I'm going to line this up so we can start taking a look at it. All right. Okay, here we go. The hammer. So this website is BLXWARE, Blixware.org. So this is the website that they've put up. This is the whistleblower website. 55 days until the election. Those that control this FBI, CIA, NSA private domestic surveillance system will control the 2020 election. This site is created and maintained by former Blixware employees that wanted the truth about Blixware owner, Aldra Blixlith, her U.S. government contacts, and Blixware's work in illegal FBI, CIA, NSA domestic surveillance programs to be exposed to the public. So we got a map here. Not exactly sure what they're trying to show. There's a building there. Don't know what that is. Why was the U.S. government running domestic surveillance programs far off the grid, far away from the congressional oversight in the United States, targeting Americans and their businesses without proper cause? FBI, CIA, NSA domestic surveillance stats collected in their parallel private domestic surveillance program. So it was a parallel program, meaning this is mirroring the systems that were already in place that had oversight to a private system that with no oversight, and they could look at anyone at any time, not having to ask permission, regardless of your rights, your constitutional rights. So 38 million is the number of Americans hacked and spied on by the U.S. government. 6.8 million is the number of businesses hacked and spied on by the U.S. government. 6,322 number of U.S. government servers hacked and spied on by the U.S. government. 2.4 million number of votes tampered with prior to U.S. elections by U.S. government bad actors. Dun, 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 dun. So, 2.4 million votes tampered with through this program. So, can you see why it's important to talk about this now before this election? What the hammer was used for. System architects. Okay, Robert Mueller, FBI director, supplies computers for a parallel platform domestic surveillance system. So that was his role. He got the hardware. John Brennan converted U.S. foreign cyber surveillance system to a domestic cyber surveillance system targeting Americans and their businesses without probable cause in 2009. So he did this in 2009. That goes back, is that before Obama? When did Obama get elected? So, yeah, so just before, so this is under Bush. Okay, James Clapper supersized John Brennan's domestic cyber surveillance system and provided a location to operate in February 2009. So this goes back, right? Wow. So 2009 was it? So this was still under Obama. Okay, so I'm thinking because it's 2008 was the election to 2016. That's 8 years. So yep, Obama. All right. So FBI, CIA, NSA domestic surveillance status collected in their parallel private domestic program. So 107,322 is the number of U.S. churches hacked and spied on by the U.S. government. Wow. 1,342, the number of Secretary of State computer networks hacked and spied on by the U.S. government. 159, number of Article 3 federal judges hacked and spied on. So, if they do this to federal judges, do you think they can get blackmail material on federal judges? Maybe even Supreme Court judges, maybe Roberts, for example. So 93,856, the number of attorneys and law firms hacked and spied on by the U.S. government. Lots of material for them to use for blackmail. Okay, so why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and the CIA hacking so many Jewish synagogues and Christian churches in the U.S.? That's a good question. Why were they doing that? Target, Texas churches. Limited data provided here due to sensitive information. Full data set was provided to FBI, DOJ under limited immunity agreements. So they've turned this material over to the FBI and DOJ. So everything we're going over, we now know that they've turned over. I assume so anyway, but they're saying so here. All churches listed were hacked and information collected on church and congregation. All churches listed were hacked, information collected on the church and congregation. Why do they repeat that twice? Maybe it's that important. Okay, so Connecticut churches. Limited data provided due to sensitive information. Full data set was provided. Okay, same. All churches were hacked. So same thing, they're repeating. So this is basically Connecticut churches, and up here is Texas churches. So why were John Brennan, James Clapper, hacking so many right to life groups? So, okay, so again, all the information provided to the FBI and DOJ. All groups were hacked and information collected on their groups and their clients. So it was just the right to life movement they were going after. So same thing. Well, here they have here's the question, right? For why are they hacking right to life groups? And here, why were they hacking so many abortion clinics? They gave an answer: leverage, blackmail. In other words, okay, abortion clinics. Again, they provided all the data. What else? Why were John Brennan and the CIA hacking so many mental hospitals and behavior clinics? Leverage. So if you had, some kind of, problem, you went to get some help, they can use that as leverage. Do you think that doesn't affect a lot of people? I would say. Target state hospitals, mental health facilities. What else? So why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and CIA hacking the CIA and the CIA hacking so many federal agencies, including the White House? Leverage. Again, blackmail. Federal agencies. So they did this also, the White House and their employees. Okay, why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and CIA hacking so many defense contractors? Corporate espionage. So you think that they could possibly sell that data to other other companies in the same industry? Obviously, that's what you do with corporate espionage. It's all about selling secrets of one company to another. So if you had the details, because you hacked it, you're the government, and you sell it to their competitor, and you get like even a kickback for yourself, right? So U.S. defense contractors. All businesses were hacked and the information collected on their business clients and employees. They're saying all businesses were hacked. Interesting. All businesses. All right. Why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and CIA hacking satellite communication providers? Corporate espionage. Same thing. Limited data provided here due to sensitive information, but everything provided to the DOJ and FBI. All businesses were hacked and information collected on their business and clients and employees. So we see the pattern here. So why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and CIA hacking multinational companies like GE, Siemens, Honeywell, and Bechtel? Corporate espionage. Multinational companies. So it wasn't just U.S., they did multinational. Snowden was right. Siemens servers were hacked. So that was one thing that Snowden had revealed. So why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and CIA hacking telecommunications networks like AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, and Verizon? Corporate espionage. Okay. So all businesses and information collected on business and their clients and employees. So basically anyone, if you were part of any of those communication companies, I mean, you had a phone with them, they hacked you. Their clients, right? Who are their clients? The general people that are using their services. Why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and the CIA hacking Texas law enforcement computers, including Texas Rangers? Interesting. So again, they provided all the detail to the FBI and DOJ. So Texas law enforcement networks were hacked and information was collected off of the networks, including employee information. So why were they doing that? You didn't give an answer. I can give an answer. The Texas Rangers would be independent of they're not police, right? They're not policy officers, police officers. All right. Well, let's continue. So why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and the CIA hacking U.S. oil producers? BP, Shell, Exxon, Chevron, Conoco, Phillips, and others. Corporate espionage. Where's the newest and biggest finds that they just hit? That information would be really good to know. When are they having problems and maintenance cycles? Any kind of information like that can be sellable, right? They just use this as their piggy bank. All businesses were hacked and information collected of their businesses and their clients and employees. Okay, so this gets into something else here. So FBI, CIA, NSA document surveillance statics collected in their parallel private domestic surveillance program. So, 1,045 reporters hacked and spied on by government. There you go. Getting all of the conservative media, right? No, they got all of them. There's 1,045 of them. So 4,011 number of cable news employees hacked and spied on by the U.S. government. So that's the cable news employees. So number of web administrators inserted into computer networks without their permission or knowledge of the business. Number of web administrators. I guess those are the people running the websites. 5,421. Okay, so next is 1,013. Number of U.S. congressmen hacked and spied on. Well, we did hear from the congressman, talking about that. Nunes said he was spied on, and many of the others. So it's 1,013. So let's see. So how many senators are there? Well, there's 100. How many congressmen are there? It's like 480, something like that. So it looks like there's a little bit more. Maybe it could have been, some other congressmen. Oh, I mean, retired, or not in office. Could be something like that. Okay, next. Why are John Brennan and CIA hacking the major TV studios? Leverage. More blackmail. CBS, ABC, NBC. All businesses were hacked. Information collected on their business and clients and employees. Next. Why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and CIA hacking so many newspapers and reporters? Corporate espionage. Same thing. Next. Why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and the CIA hacking so many pharmacies like Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid? Leverage, blackmail. They know what medication you're on. They can blackmail you about it. All businesses were hacked. Information collected on their business and their clients and employees. So your clients. So if you've had a prescription with one of these major outlets, then your information was now compromised. What else? Why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and the CIA hacking American Express? I think they got too many hackings in there, but they're hacking all over the place, so why not? Corporate espionage. So again, if they know, American Express, they know what you've spent money on. They can say, oh, well, you spent money, going on a trip to somewhere that you weren't supposed to be, right? You got a hotel somewhere and romantic dinner, and it's not where your wife was. So anything for leverage, right? So next. Why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and the CIA hacking so many Wall Street firms like J.P. Morgan Chase, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, Lehman Brothers, and so many more? The U.S. government know Lehman Brothers was in trouble years earlier when they hacked their networks and yet did nothing about it, just to point it out, right? So they knew that there was a problem with Lehman Brothers. They probably all had problems. All of these had problems. It's just they needed to have one go down as the cover story, right? You needed, otherwise they keep pointing fingers at everyone. Oh, it was Lehman Brothers. So they needed a sacrificial goat. All right. So why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and the CIA hacking so many Texas banks like J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and so many more? So why were they doing that? Why are John Brennan, James Clapper, and the CIA hacking so many universities like Yale, Harvard, Ohio, UCLA, MIT, and so many more? What was the U.S. government looking for? Question. What were they looking for? All schools were hacked and information collected on the school, their program, and their clients and their employees. But what were they looking for? So, let's see. So, FBI, CIA, NSA, domestic surveillance statistics collected in their parallel private domestic surveillance program. 1,045 number of hotel chain networks that were hacked and spied on by the U.S. government. 64,321 number of hotel employees hacked and spied on by the U.S. government. 8 million number of hotel visitors hacked and spied on by the U.S. government. 8 million visitors to hotels hacked on. All right, next. Why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and CIA hacking so many hotels like Hilton, Marriott, Best Western, Holiday Inn, and so many more? What was the U.S. government looking for? Terrorists to leverage on someone? What was the U.S. government looking for? Terrorists or leverage on someone? They were looking for terrorists, really? That's interesting. So, all right, next. Why were John Brennan, James Clapper, and CIA hacking so many pharmaceutical companies like Aggen, Baxter, Roche, Abbott, Bristol Myers Squibb, and so many more? Corporate espionage. Funny thing about data, just when you thought it was destroyed, it reappears. Dun, 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 dun. And then they have a contact number here, blxware3@gmail.com. So there we go. So they were just revealing how deep this program was on all these servers. This is what the hammer was used for. Oh. Okay, so what does this mean for us, right? What do we do? What do we do with the hammer? Well, should this actually be happening? This is so whenever you talk about the FISA warrants, for example, this is like you don't have any representation, right? They just go ahead and basically surveil you, put you under surveillance, because these are supposedly foreigners, but they did it to Americans. Why? Because you're dealing with foreigners, so they get a permission because you're having a conversation with, someone. Maybe you're talking, you call customer service for your bank, right? And they patch you through to the Philippines to discuss your problem in banking. Now you're talking to a foreigner. You can be surveilled. What is it, that gives them the justification for doing this? Oh, the rest of the world is doing it, so we got to do it too. The Russians are doing it. The Chinese are doing it. The British are doing it. The Five Eyes are doing it. Should there actually be a Five Eyes allowed, letting our friendly other countries out there, should they also be allowed to basically give our government information? Yeah, I understand it's a difficult question because you want to catch the bad guys, but look what happens. These guys become the bad guys, the ones that are the foxes. They become foxes watching the hen house. They can't be trusted. Like mail is private. Email should be private. Your Facebook messaging should be private. This is set up as a private platform or a public platform. It was set up as a public square. Now they're trying to change it and say, oh, well, it's a private company. We can say we do what we want to all the people on it. No. And it's not your technology to make this happen. This was stolen technology, right? And it was stolen by the U.S. government through their systems. Systematically went after this technology so that the guy that actually invented the technology would not benefit, and he hasn't. But he's won in court and went up his way. I think he's on way to the Supreme Court about it. But in any case, on the appeals court, showed that he owned it. It's his secrets, and and then it was taken by IBM Eclipse Foundation, and then given away for free to YouTube and Google and everyone. We received no money for it, so we just gave it away. No, well, you had no right to give it away. So, all right. So let me see if we have anything in our group here. So hello. So Hetman actually got in early. So, oh yeah, by the way, I already posted the tomorrow's show starting again at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Right. So that's already on there, set on the schedule. So you should be able to even go and set a reminder. So anyway, so Louis said hi, and what else? It's funny how John Trump looks like Assange. Yes, so that's that's like so obvious that they look identical. I mean, it's not like they look similar; they look identical. Other than the long hair of Assange, right? If you just gave Assange a haircut, probably could, shave his beard too at this point. But he looks just like John Trump. So the question comes in: is he John Trump? Time travel to the future, right? To do this work, which was what? Grab Hillary's emails, which is all the evidence to break this all wide open, right? It's the keystone, maybe, of how this all breaks open, and it was provided by Assange. So I think that we're going to see something come out about that, but it could be, a relative of John Trump, right? It could be John Trump's son, a hidden away son to do a particular job, just like Donald Trump, was sent to military school and learned a lot about his very smart uncle, right? And probably was shown all of these things when he was a young boy. So, and you think maybe JFK Jr. also might have been, friends in the group. I pointed out not too long ago that Michael Jackson has a Q on his Neverland Ranch, right? It's a big O with a kid hanging, sitting in the O, but with his feet hanging down, looks like a Q, or a rabbit inside an O, making it look like a Q as well. So that's a pattern that's repeated, which is the same as the JFK Memorial. Princess Diana also has kind of a Q memorial from above, right, looking down. So, these are don't know where they come about, but Michael Jackson was also starting to talk about the deep state, the bad actors, the bad things going on in Hollywood and the music industry. So, a lot of these things are happening. But anyway, so let's move on. See what else is here. Okay. Oh, actually, well, let's see. And so Candy Wolf. What a load of BS this government is of BBNRs. I don't know what BBN means, but ours is putting BBN on BBN. I don't know. Don't know what that means. But I used to believe in our government, but no BBN more. All right. So it's hard to believe in this government, right? I agree. This government is so corrupt. Look at what's going with General Flynn, right? The State Department, the Justice Department says we're not prosecuting anymore, and the judge says, "Oh well, I'm not done. We're going to talk to some other lawyers about it, but we're not prosecuting." Well, but we'll go to the appeals court. You go to the appeals court in the Washington D.C. circuit, and they support the judge. I think that this is coming up on the 28th of this month that Judge Sullivan has to, I think resolve this. I think is what it is, but that's about as late that they're going to be able to postpone it. I think, but who knows? This just infuriates me, bro, to no end. Yes, I get it. So, how many citizens? Ouch. Airports. Analog RV Dara? Don't know. Sorry. Analog versus digital. Oh, bloodline. Interesting way of looking at it. Analog versus digital. So that's all of anyone said so far there. But let me just talk about analog versus digital for a moment, because this actually is kind of an old argument. So everything was analog before. Your televisions were analog. They had tubes in them, and the tube acted as a transistor. They would warm up, right? And they'd get heat, generate heat, and that would affect the frequencies that we're going through in nice even waves. Digital is where they create those waves by particular blocks, right? It's all jagged, right? It's actually made from a jagged pulse of energy, right? And so it goes up in level and down, by adjusting the pulses instead of carrying it through. So like light coming from the sun, it's coming in a wave, right? That's analog. So digital is representing it artificially. Now, the reason that like telephones were all analog, so like Verizon, everything that was under Verizon was analog. When they started creating their cell phones and everyone went digital, the reason is because they could push digital further on the towers, right? So it was easier for it to get through concrete, for example. But the analog was good at going over mountains. Yeah, so it had a combination. So Verizon ended up putting a digital signal on the analog, and that's how they compromised. They actually created a digital signal, but on the analog, and the analog would carry it. So, but the digital signal is pretty much has won out across the board. But things that are recorded with digital have a different sound than the analog. Right? People can pick up the difference. An audio file can pick out that difference in the tonal quality, the richness of it. But at a certain point, most people can't hear the difference. So that's why, in general, it wins out. It's like the VHS versus Betamax. The old videotape systems. The VHS won out because you could store more. You could put more on. You could put 4 hours, and on Betamax you could put an hour. So the cost was more on the Betamax. So the VHS won out, and the quality was less. So it was all about quantity. So anyway, that's the old argument of that. So now take it up to nowadays. So what does it mean? We start talking about vaccines in containing nanoparticles that give you a digital tattoo, a quantum tattoo that gets you recognized as to who you are. No more hiding. No more anonymity. Cannot be anonymous anymore. You'll always be known. You will be tracked by the government. Now, through the hammer, we can see what were they doing with the hammer, right? They were using it for blackmail. They were using it for leverage. They were using it for corporate espionage. They were using it to make money by selling your data, right? So who wants my data? Who cares about that? Somebody cares about what kind of toast you like in the morning. What is your favorite soda, so that they can send you the marketing materials, right? It's worth money to them. Now, this is the kind of world that we've seen some glimpses of in movies where, wherever you're walking around, you're seeing advertisement wherever you're at, even though there's no signage, right? It's just in front of your eyes. So they'll put you in this virtual environment where the advertisement is all around you. You won't be able to avoid it, right? What did you look at longer? You took 0.3 seconds looking at the Coke, bottle commercial, and you took, 0.72 seconds looking at the Sprite. That one worked, that one didn't work. So this kind of stuff they're going to be pushing at you. This type of commercialism is over the top. Who wants commercials 100% of the time? Who wants all the pop-ups? Who wants all the spam? Who wants all the junk mail? Nobody. But they're gonna put you into this box and just dump it in on you because they make money. And this should not be allowed at all. At all. It shouldn't even be set up in a system in which it's like, you can agree to come into this system, just click here, right? And then you're in it. Yeah, that is not a healthy environment for society to move into. Yeah, the people that want money and are greedy, they want to do that because they're going to make money, right? But that's not the road for us as a society to move into, right? We have to be aware that we have the option to say no, right? But we have to change out this cabal, this deep state around the planet that's doing it. America is the front lines in this battle. Trump is the leader. He's got the 193 countries on his side. All right, nobody wants to be in this system they have a choice. They just didn't know that there was a choice. There was no one. There was no hero on this coming in to save the world. Well, in this case, we have one. Trump is there. He's coming. Now, was it Tesla that started this whole ball rolling? I think so. I think that's where it comes from. I don't have particular proof. I do have the Wits Ministries saying that, yeah, this is planned, right? Because they checked with their oldest member, who was in his 90s, who actually met Tesla when he was young. So we can see that there is something that's unusual about this dot connection, right? So I'm willing to go all in and say that this is a possibility, that this is probably where it came from. Now, has the plan changed? Is it augmented with artificial intelligence? Probably. Algorithms of being able to predict what is going to happen with all of the data. After all, who's in control of this hammer now? Who's in control? Trump. So whoever's in control of this hammer controls the 2020 election. So, this is, though we can see that there's a fight going on, we're going to win it, but it can get very ugly. It can also get very deadly. So if you're thinking about getting some Patriot supplies or foodstuffs, here's my commercial. I didn't even sign up yet, but this is something I told my daughter. Please get 90 days worth of food. Do whatever you can. Figure it out. Do something. Make sure because after the election, these guys are going to go all out. All assets deployed now. Look at the craziness. Even the sporting franchises all bowing down to this anti-American protest. Black Lives Matter is an anti-American protest. That's what it is. They are Marxists, trained Marxists. They admit it. Their idea is to get rid. It's part of everything that they're doing, and all of the donations go to the Democrats. Even if you were for Black Lives Matter and you wanted to give a donation, and if it was going to the Democrats, would you actually give the money if you knew? But all of it goes there. It's just a wing of the Democratic Party. Okay, so anything else? So we've been going for almost an hour, so let's see. Anything else down here? Computers have a DC over because they can't turn the wave into a square one. Have a DC convert. Oh, they convert to DC because they can't. Yeah. Well. Yeah, computers, there are not too many analog computers around, right? Especially since the focus is back to the binary, right? The aspect of what a computer is. I mean, it is a binary device. Ones and zeros, yeses and nos, voltage, no voltage. It's implemented off of a digital environment. It leads itself to the analog being converted to digital because it's stable. They need to have a flat voltage. They can't have it going like that. But though it is kind of getting back to that, there might be a cycling back to it when you talk about quantum. But that's a whole other story. Okay, again, I think we're good for today. Tomorrow, it will be an interesting show. So again, early tomorrow, 8 p.m., I will start. 8:30, I'm going to join in, and we're going to discuss this Tesla plan to save the world via, John Trump, Donald Trump, Julian Assange, right? And discuss it on there for about 15 minutes, and then maybe we'll continue on for a while and listen there. But so we'll go on for maybe an hour and a half or something tomorrow, and we'll discuss this, as well as maybe we'll get into some other topics like the deep underground bases, cities in space, other things like that. They've been involved with a lot of different technologies over the years, and they developed for the governments. Right? So, all right, I guess that's good for now. Again, my donation link is down below. Anything you can do is very much appreciated. Until tomorrow, have a wonderful day.